Alright, here we are. We have decided to be a little more specific about comparing our p-value. This is actually a p-value. The p-value, when it's less than alpha, we're going to reject h sub l. If it's greater than or equal to alpha, we're going to fail to reject h sub l. That or equals is a little different. I think previously we said if it's less than, reject, greater than, fail to reject, but then one came up in our assignment which was right equal to. So I'm going to put the or equal sign on the greater where we will fail to reject. So keep that when we get to our homework one, we'll pull that out and we will all get the same answer. We're going back to day 3 and we're adding a note on how to do a one sample test, z-test for proportions on our calculator by doing this example with potatoes where we have 8% blemished is okay, we'll keep it. If it's greater than 8%, we will send back the potato truck. So let's go ahead and put this information in our calculator. We took a sample and we found out that 47 out of 500 were blemished. And we want to know what happens. If you recall, we got a, well, I don't remember what the p-value was, but we'll just find it as fresh. So you are going to go to a z-test, and that, I believe, is under stat test. Go to stat button, tests, and z-test for proportions. Do you find it? What number?
1.
Number 1? Okay. Hit that, and it will ask you some information. Does it ask you for P0?
Yeah. No.
Put in 0.08. That's your P0.
I don't know.
Mine
what.
asks for
First we
First
You
one
know,
says
You're on the wrong
INPT.
test if it's asking from you.
Stat test.
T-test, no?
All right. So
I'm
what?
under Z-test.
That's what it gives you once you press z-test.
Yeah, I have a mu.
Yeah.
Mu
But it says data and stats.
test.
I don't know what to do with that.
Z test. All right, let's go down. I don't think it's Z test. One
Z
proportion.
interval?
I think it's number 5. You shouldn't be asking for mu. So if you're asking for
There we
mu,
go.
go down to number
Oh,
5.
there it is.
It's a Z test for proportion. You see number 5? All right. So now, is it asking for P0?
Yes.
All right. X is the number that were, in this case, blemished in our sample. So that's 47. And N is the number in the sample, which was 500. Then you're going to select between equals, less than, or greater than. The alternative hypothesis tells you that. So hit that. And I would pick, I like draw because I like to see the picture. You'll get the answer either way, calculate or
Wait,
draw.
which one is for prof?
I'm sorry?
Which one is the last one? You put is equal to or
N?
no, the one after that.
In equal to.
No,
There's
it
something.
says there it's prof and it says P is equal to, P is
Right.
greater than
So
or equal
In
which
equal
one
to.
will this one be? It's right there. It's
Equal
greater
to with a
than.
line through it. In equal.
So it should draw you a picture. This is a two-sided test.
It said invalid domain.
You
Why
don't
so?
have anything for P sub
Do I
now.
tell it less than or
We have
greater?
.08.
Yeah.
She just told
You
us.
have to wait to get your questions answered all at once in a second. So it should draw because it's greater than. So you should have a
Calculate or
picture
draw?
with the area drawn on shaded in on the right. And then it should give you a p-value. Anyone get there?
No, mine is a syntax error.
Mine is invalid.
Mine's right here.
I think I got mine. How did you get that? I have to go back.
Go,
Anyone get a p-value?
Mine's invalid
What you got?
domain.
I have. It showed me that. when I did draw.
.124 is correct.
Can I?
And
Wait,
what is
invalid
your
domain?
z
Can you go
score?
back?
What's
Stat
your z score, Dan?
test.
We need to know how to do this for the test.
It's good.
Point
It's
oh eight,
helpful.
47,
I'd rather
500.
do. I mean, you can
that.
always
You
check
press
your
draw.
work. You have to show me your work.
You press
It's a
draw.
very
Go down to
good
draw and
check.
then- Can I
Do
see
you know
it?
right
Exact
away if
same
you got it
thing.
right or not?
Okay.
So, and on the
Did
AP
you do
test,
draw?
it'll help you go a lot faster.
Yeah, I did draw.
Mine says
What did you
invalid
get?
domain.
All right, I need to know before we get to answering
Yeah.
all those questions, Dan, what was the Z score?
The z score. Hold on.
Why are you staring at me like
Look
that?
at this.
Do you mean the thing that you just told me was right?
Yeah.
P
Uh,
equals 0.24.
1.15. Okay, very good.
It didn't say.
All right,
P in mine.
1.15. And if you're getting an error, see if you can get rid of your stat plot. Maybe that. Go to stat
says
plot.
maybe you have to
turn it off.
calculate.
Make sure your stat plot is
Oh,
off.
stat
It's
plot
trying to
off.
read a bunch of things at once. That's a guess.
How do I get that?
Dan, did you get
Stat
0.24?
plot. It's your old friend. It's above y equals.
That's
Does that help
I
anyone?
bet that's it.
Did it
Did
help
you get
to get rid of
0.24?
stat plot?
no.
Stat.
All right.
Plot.
Does it
What's-
work now?
The z-score is 1.15.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it should be at
I got the
one
same thing,
side,
it's just a
because
data
you should
point.
have
I was
had p
asking for
greater
A,
than
but
0.08.
you don't have it.
So it
No.
should have been on one side.
dramatic.
Did you get it?
Okay, we have stat, test,
It was a stat plot.
one prop, blah, 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 blah.
Where's your calculator?
It's in Dale.
Which test?
Did you get rid of your
Access
stat
stat
plot?
plot.
But this
And
one
make
sure.
check the y equals, make sure there's
My first one's on.
information in there.
We got
I
different
think yours
answers.
is right. I
Did
think
you
mine's
check his stat plot? Is it off?
Why'd you calculate? Don't press calculate. Go back.
You have to put in the data.
because then I have to do
No,
zoom
there's no
stat.
data. Oh.
Zoom.
There's this data you put in. Anybody else?
I got it. I just need some.
Okay.
Let's see stat plot. Second one.
Haley, go into your y equals and make sure all of that's clear.
Alright. Ryan's still not working?
Oh wait, no, it's that one.
No, it isn't. P is greater than or equal.
Yay!
Not sure.
How come I had two tails?
That's P is less than because P is on that side of the.
for some reason.
Side.
Okay,
When I
alright.
was trying to.
Oh, Miss. Can I have
Oh.
a second of your time?
Okay, maybe
So-
that's what we're all
So
doing.
this should be the one that we select because P is on the greater than side, right?
No, we're doing greater than.
Yeah,
That says less than.
No, but I'm saying
The
that this
P's on the other
yeah,
side.
Because here P is eating the P, so that one.
Okay.
So then
So we all need to flip it.
Greater than 0.08.
That's even different than what I got before. Let me make sure it's got the right stats in it. That's,
Spot
You
number
see,
five.
wait, can you go back to your thing?
and then this is
So
all.
we went greater than, we went that.
But that's not greater than P. That's
Oh my goodness.
P. Look, because this is the sign. The P is on
I
that
got
side.
0.8757.
So you're saying that's P is greater than?
Yeah, no, because look how it's drawn out. If I draw a picture of it, this one is piece about. This one over here is piece about.
So
I think it's this one.
But then P is less than.
No, you
This
read
is
it
how
when
they
it's,
put it in.
when it's this way,
Try
you
it,
read it
try it,
as
what do you
less
get?
than. This way you read it as greater than no matter what it's.
That's right. We got it.
Try it, because you'll know, Haley, if you hit draw, you'll know if they're shading the right side. If it's greater than, they'll shade the.
I don't. The draw thing won't work for me. I was just doing. I was doing.
Yeah,
That's just confusing for me.
Try the
Like
draw.
funny things and stuff with it.
Oh, the draw was I had in.
I'm struggling.
This crap answer.
We'll do draw, and see, it should take it, if it
How do you
gives you the
what?
numbers, it can draw
I
it.
feel like they're logic.
Go down and see. No, you've got. Alright, let's try zoom stat plot, stat fit. Remember that now. Go to zoom stat
about that,
fit.
Bree. How you feeling?
Stat fit.
Can't answer.
You're feeling better.
Zoom fit or zoom
Yeah,
slash?
fit.
Your house won Pi Day.
Yeah.
They probably cheated.
But
Just
I
kidding.
think if the numbers
It's okay.
was power.
Alright,
I'm not a sore
so
loser.
Alright, does anyone get a drawing? Tell me,
Third
is
place.
this less than and this greater than?
We had the
Yes.
the
Who picked this? Alright, did you get a drawing with a sketch on, drawn over here?
Yeah.
Alright, so this is greater than no
Because
matter
you
what
read
it
it, when
looks
it looks like
like.
an L, you
5
read it
minutes
as
of
less
Just
than.
look, your P naught
didn't
is
know
0.08,
that.
so when it's saying it's less than P naught, it's saying it's less than 0.08.
Yeah, well, I kinda see their point, but if this does mean greater than, that's the way the calculator was set up.
And
And this is less than.
No, but that was
Alright,
less
so for
than.
those who didn't get a drawing, I'd like to look at it later and figure out why.
They're reading it literally
Who
like
was left? Haley
less
couldn't
than
get a
P.
drawing.
It's just confusing that they
Who else
split it
couldn't
up.
get a
because that's
drawing?
not
You
what
got
it
the
would be
numbers,
if
but
I
not
were
the
to rate this on a
drawing.
test. it would be wrong.
Haley,
I understand.
on your calculator.
Alright, what else? Who else didn't get it? Did you get it? Get a drawing?
Got it.
You got it?
I got
What
that.
was wrong with
Shape on
yours?
this side.
I think I put less than.
Oh, okay.
It's just, it was just the first one.
Alright, Andrew, you get yours?
I saw how to do it on Ryan's. I'm sorry, my calculator is still dead.
Really? You're going to die today. Alright. Okay.
Today's
Your
the
last-
last day.
The last
His
living,
last easy day.
the last
Yeah.
living day was
You're
today.
I'm going to name him Stephen
Here
Hawking.
you go.
Wait, what are
I
you naming?
forgot. All right. All right, so that is how, add that to day 3.
Considering the fact that we can't even determine what day
In
he
your
died.
test, on
Hours
your
too
test
soon,
from me, you're gonna have to show me this work, but it'd be nice for your own confidence to actually check it with the calculator, then you'll know if you're getting it right or wrong. All right, let's go on. The next day I wanna look at was yesterday, day 5.
I like this.
Was yesterday day 5 or day 4?
Yesterday was day 4/5.
We
Did
did
you
4
get
and 5
All
yesterday.
right, when did I introduce the T statistic? Day 5?
5.
All right, switch to day 5. We're going to do a one sample T. So look how similar it is to the Z statistic, except now we have X bar minus mu naught over S of X square root of N. We find the T statistic. We have to know the degrees
Now
of
it's
freedom to use the chart.
What?
And unfortunately, chart B does not lead us to one number. It leads us to a range of numbers between 2. So if you want to know for sure what the number is, I'll show you how to do that on your calculator right now. So, which one can we do, for example? Well, how about we will, after we do our first one from homework, we'll come back and I'll show you how to do it on your calculator. So, put that down. Let's go to day 5 batteries. And that's the one we'll end up putting in our calculator. Now, we were hitting the bell yesterday, and I know that you know, but we skipped it, was you have to check RIN before you continue on to batteries. So let's, probably none of you did that because I didn't prompt you
I wrote
to.
it in and I checked it, but I didn't read it.
Okay, all right, very good. All right, but there's a lot to do on this one for checking N, so I'm not sure if you did it or not. All right, it was discussed as a random sample. It is independent because there were,
Second time she was.
how many selected? 15? So 15 times 10. We're in a battery factory, so it's reasonable to say that there's more than 150 in the factory. Are you okay with that?
Yep.
Normal is the hard part because we are now we're talking about means and X bars. So there are 3 different spots. Remember how this works? I don't want to reteach it in any length, but if N is greater than or equal to 30, we accept normal. If it's between 15 and 30, our eyeballs have to look at stuff. One of our eyeballs is going to look for no outliers. And one of our eyeballs is going to look for strong skewness.
Oh no.
Remember that?
Our eyeballs are pointing in different directions.
Oh my gosh,
The platypus.
So there's 2 things we're looking for when N is between 15, including 15, and 30, not including 30. So strong skewness and no outliers is what we're looking for. To do that, we have to be shown the data charts. In this one, they showed them for us. And which one is the wisest one to look for outliers so you don't have to calculate anything?
The B.
Which one is that?
The box and whisker.
Box whisker. If you have a box whisker with little stars on it, those are outliers. So there were no stars on the box whisker. Now they gave us a graph of, they gave us a dot plot. Our calculators do not do a dot plot, but it does a very similar graph called a histogram. So that's where you would look at the shape of the data. And we don't care if it's normal shape in this range. All we care about is if there are outliers, which we already saw with the box whisker, there wasn't. But the histogram can show us strong skewness. It does not. It doesn't show us normal, but that's okay. So this test is robust as long as there's no outliers and strong skewness between 15 and 30.
So we want strong skewedness?
We don't want.
We want no outliers and no strong skewness.
That's why we're looking for them
No
to
strong
like
skewness. Yes.
say no.
When you write 15 is greater than or equal to N,
Less than.
That's them.
well,
It's less than or equal to n and less.
And N is less than or equal to 30.
So on this problem, we are in this band, because 15 is in the band.
When I'm reading that, I'm understanding it as n is less than 15.
That's not how it's.
That's because you're thinking about
N is
signs in the
less than or
N is
equal
in
to
between
n, which is
15
less
and
than
30.
Wait,
It
can you
means
just
it's
read
between
it?
the
Can you
two.
just read it?
15 is less than or equal to n, which is less than 30.
So
That
N
means
has to be in between 15 and
Less than n.
29.
You have to ponder that.
break it up. If it makes it
And
easier,
it can be
break it up into two
anywhere
parts.
from 15 to 30.
Including 15, not including 30.
Okay, Shannon.
All right. The last
That means n can be
scenario is
15,
when
it can be
n is
16,
less
20,
than 15.
up to
And
30.
that one is so
And
few.
29.
The samples are so few.
15.
We have to look
On your
at
number
the
line,
shape.
15, n.
We have to look at the shape,
30.
and it
So
has
yeah.
to be normal-ish. It has to be unimodal, and it has to have
equal to.
symmetrical
So
sides.
Just
So
saying that
n
n can be
minus
15.
we have more
And every-
requirements than we had for n between 15 and 30. But this is old stuff, so I don't want to spend a lot of time on that. All right, so back to our problem. We are not greater than 30, we are not less than 15, we are between 15 inclusive and 30. So I looked at the data charts, there was no strong students and there was no outliers. So finally, we can check off n. It takes just as long to check n as it does to do the whole problem.
So we have to make a graph
Right.
to check in.
Yeah, or they gave us one in this example.
Okay.
All right. All right, so let's go back. So when we put the numbers in for this particular problem, we found out that we have 3.39, okay, 33.9 minus 30
What's the stipulation for N?
over 9.8 over the square root of 15, which gives us 1.54. And our degrees of freedom is 14, always one less than the number in the sample, which was 15. So we're going to go to line 14, and we're going to look for this number in between two numbers. And it came out to be between 0.05 and 0.1. And we're going to compare that to alpha. Now notice 0.05 is included, and numbers greater than 0.05. So that fits this requirement. So therefore, we're going to fail to reject H sub O. Fail to reject. So we say there's not enough evidence to say that the batteries last longer. All right? That was that one.
So how would you say that? Like how would I write it?
Fail to reject H sub O. There's not enough evidence to say that the batteries last longer. All right, let's go ahead and look at how to get this one out of our calculator as promised. So is this still day 5? We're going to go and do, on the calculator, we're going to do this t-test. So we are going to go to
It's the
second
same.
bars. Is that where we went before?
No, stat test.
All right, well, let's see what second bars is
There
for.
is a
Okay.
t-test.
All right, let me go and show you how to get this value, and then we'll do the actual test. How do I get this value? The dumb chart says the p-value is between 0.05 and 0.1. What if I want one value? The calculator can do that. Second bars. Can you find second bars?
Yeah.
Go to distribution. It should be on that. And now you want to pick TCDF. Do you see that command as one of the choices?
Yes.
All right, pick TCDF. And what you are going to have to tell it is this. On this one, that we were suspecting that the mean of the new batteries was higher. So we're trying to find, our T-score was 1.54. Let me give you some room here.
Oh my goodness, Miss Powell, this is from last year because the thing was 1.54 and it's already like.
Really? Wow, that's
Unless you can
freaky.
just, like,
All right, on our T-score, on our T-chart, 1.54 is right here. right past the 1. Just
No,
a little
she-
bit past the 1.
She was like,
Or
oh.
1.54. It's halfway past the 1.
Yeah, this calculator is set up for this problem, probably from
Oh,
last year.
I see.
It's already put in.
Alright, would you agree on this one, we're trying to get this value, this area, from 1.54 to the right. So, the calculator wants to know, the first thing it wants to know is the lowest value for the area. So, the lower side of this colored area is 1.54. Then it wants the upper value. What's the upper value of this?
100.
What is?
It's a very large number. Don't put 1,000 in because it doesn't like that. 100 is good.
Yep.
And lastly, the number it wants to know is
14.
the degrees of freedom.
Paste.
There we go. So get that number. Is it between 0.05 and 0.1? What is it?
Point oh seven two nine.
0.073 we'll say?
0.0729628.
All right. So that is your p-value. It's
Why
the
do you put
area.
100 in there?
Pardon?
You need a big number, but you don't
They want the lower bound and the upper bound for this graph.
You want a big number. but
Okay, so 1.54, that's the
T-value.
t value.
In this case, when we're looking above it, it's the lower bound. If we go this way on a different problem, it will no longer be the lower bound. That's why I always draw it.
Wait, how do you know that was the lower bound?
Because what, this is the area from 1.54 to forever that we want.
How do you know that?
Because we look at, we're looking at
mu greater than.
Yeah.
The p h sub o was mu equals something. Was it 5? What was it?
30.
Oh, 30. Wrong problem. And h sub a mu is greater than. So that tells us what direction, what tail, what side
Okay.
we want. It's
Greater
one
than.
So we
sided.
have t value, then we just put like a upper bound, so like a bigger number.
Right, any bigger number. But 10 would probably work as well. But not 1,000. The calculator gets mad if you go too high.
I have
Yeah.
one question.
Uh-huh.
Back to Rin for 1 minute.
Okay.
The n.
Why are you
Yeah.
standing
In the past, we said that n is,
don't know.
if n is less than 15, it has to be
You are incapable
like
of staring.
unimodal.
I said you are incapable
Yeah.
of staring at me.
Yeah, I said that. Did you hear me?
No, I was too focused on the greater than
Okay,
less than.
sorry. All right, now let's do the test with the calculator. Let's see if we can get that out. So this was just finding the p-value. Now we're going to do the test. So go to stat, test. Can you find one sample mu? Which one is it?
One sample mu.
Mu mu?
I think that might just.
What are you getting?
One.
Number 5, maybe?
That's
No, that was Z. That was Z.
Is it one? There's two sample t.
I do not see a mu test.
Number 5 was the
One-
old one that we were
There is
doing.
no one sample
One,
mu
two
test. T-test. There's not a one sample
One, yep.
t-test.
There's one proportion z interval.
No, we're not doing proportions, so keep going
I'll see
down.
Miss Powell.
Yep.
One prop Z.
One proportion.
No Z's, no Z. It's got to be a t-test.
There's only
Oh,
there's
t-test.
just a regular t
There's
test.
a normal, yeah, there's a
Maybe it's
normal
just
t-test.
I
regular.
was on normal Z
What
test.
number's that?
There's number 2 is just t-test.
That gives us input mu
How is 073
p naught. I
times
mean
1?
mu naught.
Between 0.05 and
You got me a
okay.
big ring,
Which is our
She does it in the song with
Alright, I
with
don't see
Bruno.
anything that could be possible
She goes,
except number 2. Let's try number 2. When you hit number 2, what comes up?
we got
Input.
stats, mu,
Not.
List.
Okay, that looks like it, doesn't it?
Where do we
Alright,
put this list?
so
What goes in
on
the
that one, the first choice is, are we going to give it data or are we going to give it the stats? So I don't have data in my chart for this one, so do stats.
Okay.
Alright, so it tells you mu naught, so change mu naught is 30.
Okay.
What else?
X bar.
X bar is
33.9.
33.9.
S of X.
9.8 for S of X. N is
What's your Joel
15.
purpose?
What's Joel's?
And we want greater than.
What's
Okay.
I'm gonna try and do the draw thing. I don't know if it'll work. Oh, it'll work now.
I don't know why it
Joel
did.
fixed it for me.
Joel, what'd you do to hers?
She just had a snap clock turned on.
I told you to turn it off. All right, what is
Look at
our,
that.
what's our
Look at-
T
Look
value?
at that.
1.54.
And what is our,
Wait,
what's,
do you want us to
Okay,
say
I
0.7?
and what is our P value? 0.07? Alright.
Miss Fab, you want us to calculate it or draw it?
I like
Draw.
drawing, but either one. Anyone need help?
Where's yours? Wait, what is that telling us?
That's our. I'm sorry.
Miss Powell, which materials did you
It's
use?
T-test, right?
value now.
Okay.
Point us
And
at.
it's, I gotta,
Miss Powell, this is
Just follow the prompts after that.
what's mu naught?
What's it ask for?
Mu naught,
What's new not?
30, right?
Yeah.
It asks for a list.
Well, we don't, if we have raw data, yes.
Go under stat
We're
number.
going to the next
Oh,
choice.
yeah.
We're doing
It's that.
stats.
X bar.
Yeah, what's the
X bar.
33.9.
33.9, yeah. S of X is 9.8.
Stat.
Are we choosing, we're choosing greater than, right?
Yes.
Okay. Draw. It's drawing.
Got it.
Or we got,
Going a lot slower.
we got a Z score, T score of 1.5 and a P value of 0.07, which leads us to fail to reject for sure. Okay.
Also,
All right, very good. All right, let's look at our back of day 5. Turn day 5 over.
Why does it do that?
What?
It, like, it's not like a straight line, it's like the...
It's because it's pixels. Yeah,
I don't know that it is.
It is pixels.
Turn over to day 5.
I even know that it is.
It's not a
Quickly.
pixels.
We'll figure that out another time. Turn over, day 5. All right. Here we have a point that I need to make, and I asked you to finish the bottom one with your intuition. So I'm not sure how far you were able to go. So let's look at the example on the back. Here they tell us that H sub O is, everyone, what's H sub O?
Lose weight.
35.
5. What's H sub A?
Not 5.
Not
so it makes
5.
sense.
What's an alpha?
Oh,
I said less than 5 because...
I said less than
I said less than
At the top, it gives
But it
it.
says it's all not
Andrew, up here, up here.
No, I said fail to reject it.
All right, we needed to be quiet because people don't even know where we are. All right, so quiet until I say questions, and then you can chat about it. We're at the top on the back of day 5, where H sub O, the mean is 5, and H sub A, the mean is not 5. Alpha level is 0.05, N is 37. Thank you, Lord. Why do I say that? Because N is greater than 30. We don't have to check anything. All right, what's the, Andrew, what's the degrees of freedom?
It's 36.
All right, so 36 is not good for our chart because our chart doesn't have a 36. So
No,
we have
degrees
to
of
go-
freedom is 14.
Yeah.
No, guys, you made the same mistake.
Degrees of freedom is
We're up
36.
top.
Oh.
We.
Well, that's the third
I'm
time.
really- I'm so
everybody
sorry.
waited
Can you
to
hear with those
look
bangs?
at the
I'm sorry.
problem.
I can't hear.
All right. It was quiet when I announced that.
I know, I'm
All
sorry.
right, so we are looking at
I'm
degrees of
embarrassed.
freedom 36. That pushes us down to line 30 on our chart. So on our chart, when you go across on 30, and you're looking for the T value, they gave it to us, did they not? Negative 3.17, did they give it to us on the top? All right, go across on 30 and tell me what two values are going to find us negative 3.17. Ah, all right, what's wrong, Maggie?
They're all positive.
They're all positive. So that happened to you at the bottom. So I said follow your intuition. So here's what your intuition may have told you yesterday. So here's 0, 1, 2, 3 on the T chart. So we are at negative 3.17. And we are looking at this one for not equals. So that would be this area down here and a symmetrical area up here. So 3.17 is all of this. Do you see how it would be two-tailed for that example?
So is it
Not equals,
2 times
means so you have one on one side and one on the other. So we've had those before, but the negative, this is negative down here, we can ignore the negative and use the positive. Because this area is the exact same as this area. So therefore, just forget, if you get a negative t-score, just drop the negative and look at the value from 3.17. So your calculator or your chart is going to give you that. Because it's two-sided, what do you have to do with that?
Multiply by 2.
Always multiply by 2. All right, so therefore, the chart, read the chart for me. Tell me what two numbers come up. So Maddie, can you do that? You're going to go to line 30, and you're going to look for positive 3.17. So what two numbers does it fall between? Here's our p-value. Go ahead.
It falls between 0.0025 and I'm right. And 0.001.
All right. So remember, we're going to have to multiply both of those by 2. So did your intuition follow you?
No.
Or you tried that
Actually, she's
bottom
going to
one?
follow me the rest
On
of
the
the way.
healthy street.
Andrew, stop making jokes
It
about
wasn't an
tuition.
inequality on the
It
health street.
wasn't?
No.
Well, it wasn't an equality when I
Okay.
did
All right. 0.005.
When it's after all the other ones, it's not.
All right. So this is our true p-value for the training one at the top. So if we were using a 0.05, Morgan, would we reject or fail to reject if this is our p-value?
If we were using which number?
0.05.
We would fail to reject. Or no, we would reject
Right,
because
this
it's not
is a
in it.
very, very tiny probability,
Yeah.
much lower than 5%. So we would say, there's no way this could happen by chance, so therefore we're going to reject H sub O. All right, let's look at the bottom one. Actually, now that we've done this discussion, I'd like you to do the bottom one, for homework, and check it because now you know a little more.
I'll do it again.
And I'm going to give you one more to do for homework.
I think I did it right.
Is there a way to know if it's too? Never mind. I answered my own question.
All right, here's the pineapple one. Weights of pineapples. So I'm going to show that to Bree. All right. So if you haven't done the one on the back, well, which one was that? The aquatic one. If you haven't done the aquatic one, or now that you know more, did you check RIN on the aquatic one? You're going to have to put your data in and look at RIN. So for the aquatic one, so go back and do the aquatic one correctly, and then do the pineapple one. All right. We'll finish up at the very beginning of class, and we'll talk about what to expect on Friday's test. All right. Till we meet again.
I knew he was going to do it.